Special shout out to all my patrons.
In my ought to, but if I could make a special precedence for you, I would definitely have started that earlier.
They tried, yeah, right. They wanted a family. They got married. Did everything they wanted to do. Settled down. Wanted to have kids.
Guess what? You don't get everything in life that you want. You don't get everything you want in life.
So you just proved your whole point wrong. You just said,
no, dummy, the life isn't created. No, dummy, the life isn't created.
See, this is why you're operating accidentally. Here's why you're operating in bad faith, right? Here's why you're operating in bad faith. Because the simple fact that in her world, right, the life would have never existed in the first place because the egg would have never been fertilized. Therefore, it would have never been discarded. There would be no system in place for this, okay? So when you say that you're anti-life, you're wrong because the life would have never came into existence via IVF to begin with. So if it was never in existence, right, then there would be no life to end because it'd be like it'd be like it would literally be equivalent. It would literally be equivalent to your crusty sock laying on your bedroom floor.
Weird. Why do you need that broken down to you? Slow. Everybody gets to listen to Jovan. Everybody say, yay. We're so happy that you're here.
Okay.
All right, hold on. I need to go ahead and block this person because I don't like them. All right. What's up?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask why.
Go ahead, Jovan. We all know you're pro-choice. Go ahead with your argument.
Okay, I was just gonna ask why, because it's human, does it now have the right to somebody else's internal bodily resources?
What's the difference between internal and external?
I think levels of care.
Why does it matter if it's internal or external? It's bodily autonomy, right? So
no, I don't think bodily
both internal and external.
I don't think bodily autonomy is absolute. I think that as long as your bodily autonomy doesn't
bodily autonomy that.
Can I finish?
There must be a delay.
I think there might be a delay. So I think it's. Do you want me to try to?
Delay,
nobody said anything. Yeah, nobody said anything. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's delaying. Do you want me to hop down and come back? I think there's a delay.
No, if you could give us grace, we'll give you grace. If you want to, you could do that. I'm just letting you know either way about it. You could come up again. Yeah, go ahead, jump down and try again.
Why are they why are they such assholes?
A huge delay. That probably has to do with all of these pro-choicers reporting.
Probably. Oh no, because we're such hypocrites.
How's that?
Apparently,
Is that better? Is that better?
I don't know. I will have to find out.
Sounds like there's another delay.
If it's still delaying, I can.
All right, internal, external, go.
Yeah. So what I was saying before is that I think there are levels of care that can be required and levels of care that can't be. I think when it comes to your internal bodily resources, I think those are extenuating levels of care that you shouldn't be required to provide. And it's the same reason why I don't think people should be able to the government should be able to force you to give your organs to somebody that needs them, right? Because they're internal, but they may require certain external levels of care. That's why the government can require you to pay for something that you broke or something like that.
Right. Okay. So this makes no sense to me because the fetus does not actually take an organ when you birth it. So it actually does not remove anything from your body. Okay. And basically what you're about to ask me is about resource. What you're about to bring up is going to be resources again, because you lost the organ argument. So now you're going to move into resources, meaning the calories that a woman would have to consume to be extra. So therefore, it would be about roughly 300 to 600 calories a day that she would have to consume extra.
I wasn't going to bring up calories.
So,
no.
if you're going to make that argument, then I'm gonna hit you with a reductio, and you're gonna have to go from there. Okay, go ahead then.
So there are certain things that fetuses do take. For instance, calcium. Fetuses can deplete a woman's calcium to the point where people's bones are much easier to break when they're pregnant. There's also things like the oxygen in your blood. Basically, anything that you are using will be shared by the fetus. It doesn't matter if the fetus isn't like removing it from your body. It's still utilizing those resources. And I think if you do not consent to those resources being utilized, you shouldn't have to give those resources, just like I wouldn't make you give them to any other human being that's alive.
Right. 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 Okay. And the simple solution to this would be calcium.
Calcium is one of the things that a fetus utilizes.
It's not that simple.
It's one of, but yeah, it's one of
really,
the things.
It really quite is.
Wait, it doesn't matter what it's taking. The point is it taking it with consent or without consent? Okay. And if it's taking it without consent, then it's wrong. If it's taking it with consent, then it's perfectly fine, and I'm happy for the person that's pregnant.
Wait, are you saying now that you can consent? Wait, are you saying?
Okay, hold on. Let me confirm. We need to be a little bit slower here, Phoenix and Jovan, with your replies. Let's not jump over each other. We have a delay that we're dealing with, so it's going to be even more chaotic if you're jumping on top of each other. So please give each other an opportunity to finish, and then go ahead.
Hey, do you mind making me a mod for a few minutes, please?
No, I don't want to. I don't give mods. What's up?
I don't care. That's fine.
No, it's all right. No, you're good. Everybody's asked, and I'm good. If I need it, I'll do it.
Easy on this.
Yeah. No worries. If I need it, I'll find somebody. But I'm good for now. Thank you, though. Go ahead, guys. I don't know where you guys were leaving off. I hope everybody understands why, because there's a delay. So we were talking. Jovan was talking about calcium. And Phoenix was saying take calcium pills. And you're saying, Jovan, that you need to give permission to somebody to take calcium from
you. I don't know. Get our power back. Like I'm just
how we're gonna, get mad at straight pride and
Can I ask you a question?
Damn. That live got banned. I don't need a mod. Live gets banned. Bro. Wow, I was so ready to cook. Bro. So I really can't, I can't preface enough how much, how do I want to say this? I can't preface enough how much consent matters in this. So when I look at like somebody who's pregnant and I look at, thank you. I love the cat ear headphones. Jamie got them for me. They will be worn for all time. That sucks. I was ready to cook in that debate. So I can't get over how much consent matters in this. If you do not consent to being pregnant, I don't know why you should have to stay pregnant under threat of either jail time or whatever. Because the same people that are trying to make pro-life arguments are the same people that are trying to keep the death penalty. Are you saying that like people should have the death penalty for having an abortion? So like for me, consent is the important thing. So either A, you have to consent to being pregnant. So therefore consent by very nature has to be revocable. So you can revoke that same consent. Or B, you do not consent to being pregnant. Therefore, I would say, why should you be forced to do something you did not consent to? Those would be my two factors. And if you're saying that there are instances where we can be forced to do things we didn't consent to, my argument would be the only time that that's the case is if you are found guilty in a court of law. So you're now ward of the state. Other than that, I can't think of any instance where we're forced to consent to do something. I can't anyway. And if it's like a bodily autonomy thing, well, can I kill you? I'm like, well, you can't use your bodily autonomy to encroach on somebody else's bodily autonomy. So as long as you don't do that, you're fine. Anything else is fine, in my opinion. I wanted to eat on that live, bro. I was so hungry. I was ready to eat, dude. Are there any other? Oh, Kay's back online. Kay's back.
Let's see.
Wait, Kay's back, so I'm gonna go back in.
Down to the horror store.
I'll be nice,
Door to
but
door, push it door. Yeah, you gotta love it when people report.
yeah, I was gonna say, did your live get banned just now?
Yeah.
Oh damn, sorry about that.
Yeah, tends to go that way a lot. Unfortunately.
I also get banned all the time, so it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Is any of the other people coming back or?
Let me see. I don't know which count that I have Phoenix on. I think I have him on this one, but yeah, I'll send that there. But until then,
Yeah, I mean, I can give my take again if you want.
yeah, so like resources, choosing, like nobody has the right to force or take resources away from somebody. That's your position.
Yeah, I just believe that pregnancy is something you have to consent to. And if you don't consent to it, you shouldn't be forced to go through it under either, threat of like jail time, threat of death, whatever it might be. I think if you don't consent to it, it's not something you should be forced to do.
So is it so all the way up until 9 months you're fine with?
After about 24 weeks, I would prefer methods of abortions that would keep the fetus alive. So things like induction abortions or hysterectomy abortions, which we could utilize to keep fetuses alive while ending the pregnancy, because that's what I believe should happen. I believe you can end the pregnancy, but if it's possible to end the pregnancy and keep alive the fetus, then that should be the methods taken.
So why does the fetus have value at 24 weeks?
At 24 weeks, it can survive on its own, so there's no reason to kill it. That would be one of the reasons. Like, it's a multi-tiered reason, but like it can survive on its own, so there is no reason to end the life of it just to end the rights violation. Because I'm not in abortions to go, the fetus has to die. I just think a person should be able to end the rights violation whenever they want to. So as long as if it's at a point where you can end the rights violation and keep the fetus alive, I would totally recommend those methods.
Right. So if, like, say, hey mom, if you want to come up again. Yeah, mama, you'll have to let me know if you were seeing something and that's why you were wanting to have mod privileges, because if so, let me know what you were seeing before. Maybe something was going on I wasn't aware of. I try not to do it, and yet crap happens. So right, so the value, so you grant value though at 24 weeks that it is a life.
No, I would grant value to it, whatever value the pregnant person has on it. That's the value I would grant, right? So if it's somebody who wants to stay pregnant, I believe we should do everything in our power to allow them to remain pregnant, because that's the choice they made. So I would value the fetus at 2 weeks if that's what that person wants. If they don't want to be pregnant, I'm not going to place any external value on the fetus, because I don't really see value as a necessary thing. But yeah, I would just base it on the person who's pregnant.
So why does that woman gain a special power to determine what is life and what isn't life?
I wouldn't consider it giving her a power to determine what isn't life. I would never say it's not a life, but I would say even life doesn't have the right to utilize your body without your say so. So if she doesn't consent, then she shouldn't have to stay pregnant. The only time we ever are forced to do something with our bodies, it would be if we break the law, right, and we become wards of the state, then we may be forced to do things with our body. But as long as you don't break the law, I wouldn't force you to do anything with your body that you don't want to do, as long as it doesn't encroach on another being's bodily autonomy.
But do you believe that bodily autonomy is absolute?
Yeah, as long as you are not violating somebody else's bodily autonomy, and as long as you're not like you haven't had your rights stripped away because you broke the law or something, yeah, I think that your bodily autonomy should be pretty absolute.
So when do you become somebody?
Well, I grant bodily autonomy when you become autonomous, which would be when you're born, when you're able to sustain your own life processes, specifically homeostasis, separate of another human. That's when you would be an autonomous being. So I would give you bodily autonomy at that point. So like if a baby is born at 24 weeks and it's born and it's autonomous, then great. It's got a level of bodily autonomy and we cannot encroach upon that. But prior to that, if it's utilizing your resources, I wouldn't consider it autonomous.
So how do you like obtain homeostasis? Like if you're not getting nutrients without somebody being obligated to?
What do you mean? Could you explain that question
Well,
a
you're
little more?
saying you grant like with homeostasis when they're born, but we know that they're not actually taking care of themselves.
Well,
right?
homeostasis wouldn't mean
Well, homeostasis is self-regulating, right? So
yes, but homeostasis is
without nutrients.
Yeah, so self-regulating doesn't mean like you're able to eat, right? It just means if food goes in you, your body can digest it, your body can maintain its internal temperatures. There's a lot of different criteria for that. And as long as you're forming that homeostasis without use of a host person, so if you have technology to hold it, I think that's totally okay. That can be an autonomous because you're not using another person's body to do it. But as long as you're separate of another person, I would call that I would say you're engaging in homeostasis pretty well. But homeostasis doesn't just mean like, can you eat on your own or stuff like that? That wouldn't be homeostasis.
Well, it is to self-regulate to maintain stability. So you need nutrients to maintain stability.
Yes, but homeostasis doesn't talk about can you eat on your own. That's just not what it means. There are a couple criteria of homeostasis, but being able to eat isn't one of them. Being able to digest food is one of them. That's why like somebody who's really old, who can't feed themselves, they would still be maintaining homeostasis if we feed them. Survival.
Wait.
They couldn't survive on their own, but they can maintain homeostasis.
But you said that they'll maintain it if we feed them.
Yes, I can give you all the criteria for what science considers homeostasis if you'd like them.
Yeah, no, because you just said that they need to be fed to maintain stability through homeostasis.
Yeah,
which is what homeostasis is.
Wait, so obviously if they don't eat, there's nothing to digest, right? But homeostasis doesn't consider you eating as a form of it, right? Like if you're born, right, and you're alive for an hour, we're not going to say just because you're not putting food into your mouth, you're not maintaining homeostasis, right? That's not how it works. That's just scientifically not what we consider homeostasis.
Wait, so to maintain homeostasis, you need nutrients, correct?
Yeah, you also need oxygen. But if you
need nutrients.
Sure, yeah, but the nutrients aren't a part of it. Right. So let me think how I can explain it in a way that makes sense. So
wait, just to clarify, are you talking like your goal is homeostasis, not to maintain homeostasis?
No, when I talk about homeostasis, I'm saying this is a point where this creature can make sure all of its life processes work on its own without the need of a host body to run it. So when you're pregnant, the only way that your fetus can maintain homeostasis is by your body regulating its body. So its body is not doing homeostasis yet. It's regulating off of the pregnant person's body. But when it's born, like the second it comes out, and even before that, because the placenta begins detaching well before it exits the uterus, it's body is now regulating all of those things itself. So it's regulating its temperature, its kidneys are maintaining its water balance, its blood is distributing heat throughout its body. It's doing all of these things without the need of a host. That's what I would consider autonomous. Prior to that, I don't consider it to be an autonomous being, so I wouldn't provide it a level of bodily autonomy because it's not yet autonomous.
Okay, so again, back at homeostasis. Nutrients are not needed for homeostasis, or they are? To maintain stability.
So in what way? Like, because you can maintain homeostasis for a week without eating any food.
Sure, and this is why I asked to clarify. Are you just wanting to obtain homeostasis, or are you trying to maintain? Like keeping it stable, like actually do it. Like
I want it to be able to do all of these 6 steps of homeostasis on its own. if it can do all six pieces of homeostasis on its own, I would consider it or with like technology, I would consider it an autonomous being.
Does any of those 6 steps include nutrients?
They don't include eating, but like nutrients would maintain everything in your body. No, I know nutrients would control everything in your body, but a child can get nutrients without a host. Like if we hook it up to an IV, so I don't know why, like eating would matter.
To do that, but somebody needs to do that.
Yeah, but now that
I've never said it eaten. I've said nutrients.
Yeah, sure, but now that it's born and now that it can maintain those processes on its own, I would say if you don't feed it, that's a violation of its bodily autonomy, because you know that it can only survive if given food and you're refusing to give it food. So now once it gets to a point where it can feed itself, then we can get into a little more question of like, am I required to give food to like every child? Am I like, that becomes a more different philosophical question. But like,
yeah, I'm not there.
If you run into a baby and you don't feed it, you know that not feeding it or taking care of it will end its life processes. So why, like, that would be a violation of its bodily autonomy to not do those things.
To force somebody to do something with their body.
So as I said, I believe that if you're utilizing your bodily autonomy to violate another person's bodily autonomy, you can't do that. You can't.
It's not a violation. You said it was actually a violation if they didn't help the baby, correct?
No, I said it would be a violation of the baby's bodily autonomy if you did not help it.
Right, by using. Wait, so you're assuming on my body that I should do something with my body?
Yes, if it's
without my permission.
Yeah, I've already stated you can't utilize your bodily autonomy. So you would be utilizing your bodily autonomy in that instance to harm another human's bodily autonomy. That I'm not okay with. The baby's not utilizing its bodily autonomy to harm you. You would be utilizing yours to harm it. I've already said that from the jump. I don't think you should be able to utilize your bodily autonomy to harm another person. Not if it goes against their bodily autonomy, absolutely not. But that's why if we get into cases, just to clarify, if we get into cases where somebody's like assisted sewer slide, right? I would be A-okay with that because I don't think you're violating their bodily autonomy by assisting them with that, depending on if it's like medical or whatever. But in this instance, like if you're refusing to care for a child that you come across in an alley or something, I believe you would be violating its bodily autonomy because you know that it's going to die and it most likely doesn't want to die or it has a need to survive.
So at what point, though, is it infringing upon the baby's bodily autonomy to me walk past it and not do something? Like, so are you saying like every time somebody walks past it, they should be feeding this baby?
Or getting it to a place where it can get care, right? I think the minute you see a baby and the baby is alone and there's no signs of anybody coming back, if you don't help it, you're infringing upon its bodily autonomy. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like you have nowhere to take it. It's just a bunch of people walking around. So they're supposed to feed the baby then every time they see it?
Well, you should get it external care. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to find it external care.
Because they don't want to do that. It's not their body.
Yeah, but I've already answered. I don't believe you should be able to utilize your bodily autonomy I've already explained my position on that.
Sure. Oh, okay. How about I just like called somebody and said, "Hey, come and get this baby."
That's fine. You might be
doing anything to them.
Yeah, sure. You might be legally responsible to stay with the baby till help arrives. Legally. But yeah, I think calling somebody to come take care of it is totally fine. I think that's a fine way to respect its bodily autonomy while also respecting your bodily autonomy. If you don't want to feed it, calling somebody to care for it would be fine.
Yeah, but we're not pleading like a legality, right?
Well, I mean, I think most arguments have to have both legal and moral implications to them when we look at them from this lens, because otherwise, like, we could never say make abortion legal or illegal, right? Because then that would all be pleads to legality, because you're saying like it should be legal or it shouldn't be legal. I'm saying that in our current society, if we want to take the hypothetical and put it to some random society that we're not a part of that doesn't have implications legally, then sure. But our society, unfortunately, does have legal implications in like every regard that you look at it.
So I'm just thinking through this here.
Yeah.
So if we are just as adults, not even as a baby, like just normal person, and somebody is like sitting with like a wheelchair, like we're all like have to like exert ourselves. Like this is like we have to
No,
use
why
our
would you?
body, whether we want to or not, with like an adult.
No, because I think when we look at instances of adults, like it depends. If I walk down the street and I find somebody who's paralyzed from the neck down, who has a wheelchair, a powered wheelchair that's not moving anymore, and they're sitting on train tracks, I'd probably be obligated to get them off the train tracks. Otherwise, I feel like I would be violating their autonomy. Unless they they put themselves on the train tracks, then I would, like, if they said no, I want to be on the train tracks, I'm waiting for a train, probably gonna keep walking. I'm like, okay, you know what you're doing. But yeah, I think there's a difference between like a moral obligation to possibly help somebody and like a violation of your autonomy, because I don't think this is a violation of your autonomy. But if you don't want to help them, I don't think you're going to face any. I mean, we have specific laws that you're not going to, so you wouldn't face any implications legally in that. So it's just, do you want to be a good person or not at that point?
Right, but in the end, what you would like it to be is that everybody would be legally held responsible if they don't do what you deem to be this.
No, I don't think we should. I don't
i.e.
think we should
helping.
legally hold you responsible. No. No, I would say the same thing with the baby thing.
I
I don't
thought
think you should legally be held responsible. You might be, based on like the society we live in currently, but I don't necessarily think you should be legally held responsible. I'm just looking at it from a moral perspective. Like morally, helping them helping a baby would not violate your bodily autonomy, because leaving them would violate theirs. But like legally, I don't think the government should come in and be like, you didn't help that baby, you're going to jail for 20 years. They might, because we do have neglect laws, but I don't know how neglect laws would work on a baby you just find randomly in the woods or in an alleyway.
Okay. Conservative mom, I'm still thinking, Jovan. Mom, do you have any questions for him? If not, I'm going to let Phoenix up.
No, I don't. I'll let Phoenix take it.
Well, real quick, did you see anything that I needed to worry about, that I needed to mod you for? That's why you asked for it before? Because that got reported, so I wasn't sure if you were seeing something
there was
going
a couple people. Yeah, there was a couple people. That's why I was like, mod.
All right.
You're fine.
Well, comment in the below, and I'll give it to you for this live. I don't like to, just because people then go around and then they go into my block list and they start removing crap, and then it's really annoying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep. So, nope. I won't go into your block list. I will just keep an eye out when I'm here. You're welcome.
All right. Appreciate it. All right. Turning time, yours. Yeah, we'll do that to that. Jovan, I appreciate the conversation.
I just commented for you.
Yeah, for sure.
I got you. I'm going to think on that, because Phoenix is not in there anymore. Phoenix, do you want to talk or no? You have to get back in the queue. Because I have to think through that stance. Because
yeah, I mean, my stance just pretty much comes down to consent one, you know?
Yeah, no, but the idea of assuming that we're supposed to be using our bodily autonomy outside of the womb is where I'm struggling with, and that's what you're stating ought to be a legal requirement.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Just to clarify, are you stating that when outside the womb, there should be a legal requirement for this baby?
I don't necessarily know that I would make any legal requirements, like can the government arrest you for leaving a baby alone in the woods, right? I don't necessarily know, because I don't know the ins and outs of neglect laws. I don't know if if it would then turn into neglect, even though you didn't place the baby there. I would just say morally, you should probably care for the kid, right? Like I think we would all agree that would be the moral thing to do. I'm just not sure legally where I would fall on that, because I don't know. I guess I can look into neglect laws, but I don't know if that would fall under neglect personally in our like current legal system, or if it should.
Yeah. So why, when you say viability, you would support, why would you support, if you grant this human life to be valued at that point, why would you want to put this life at, like, say, a 50-50 shot of survival?
Well, so we can look at levels of viability, right? So I think it's at 24 weeks, you have like a 60% chance. And then at 28, I think it jumps up to 80 for viability. My whole thing is I don't believe that a person should have to maintain pregnancy at any stage. And if there's a way to give the fetus a fighting chance at all, why I would take it, right? Like if for some reason, let's say we get to a point where we've created artificial wombs, and like anytime you don't want to be pregnant, we could take the fetus out and put it in an artificial womb. Well, that's the type of abortion method I would prefer if like technology gets to there. But right now technology is not there. So until about 24 weeks, we can't even give the fetus a chance. Right. So once that 22, if you're being really crazy, but like I think the chance is so low at 22 that you're not really giving it that chance. So I would just say that, like, if there is that chance that we can take it out and it can survive on its own, let's do that as opposed to killing it. But like prior to that chance, the only way to get it out is kill it. So I'm okay with that since it's the only method.
And so you're only granting it moral rights because or human rights, whatever you want to be specific on the world, because when it's outside of the womb?
So I would still grant it rights, right? Like, so like a fetus, I would say, has a right to life, just like a pregnant person has a right to life. But that right to life can't encroach on another person's bodily autonomy. That's something that we've held solid for like all of you. I can't take your body and do what I want with your body, even if it means I'm going to survive, like I'm going to live with it, right? So even if it has the right to life, we now have another right that we have to see, does it have or does it not have? And I would say based on, everything we've talked about so far, I would have a hard time saying that a fetus has a right to your body. If you want to make an argument why it should, we can definitely go into that. I would just say based on my views of bodily autonomy and when you become autonomous, I don't think it would have that right.
So do you agree with positive and negative rights?
Yeah, no, I absolutely think rights are either positive or negative. And I'd say the right to life is 100% a negative right, not a positive one.
So kids are negative rights, correct?
So kids, what do you mean? Like just like taking care of kids?
Sure, yeah. It's a negative, like they obtain negative rights, correct?
Yeah, so their right to life is still negative, but in our society, when you take a kid home from a hospital or you have a baby, you opt into an unwritten legal contract, basically. So now legally, you have to provide it care or get it another form of care. But like, I would still say its right to life is still negative. Now, whether it has a right to your food or a right to your money or things like that, that's different because those aren't innate human rights. Those would be legal rights that we would now be creating. But yeah, I would say that its right to life is still negative. It's just legally you have to provide it food. Because if we enter a society where they don't have legal rights on child neglect, if you want to, like, I think it's completely immoral, but if you want to leave your kid, you would just leave your kid. And that's what used to happen back in like old English days. If you had a kid and you didn't want it, you'd toss it on the street and let somebody else care for it. So I think we've come up with a good balance where now, like, we have a legal system that can protect them. But you can still not care for it. And if you believe that it's a violation, you just get another care.
So it just so without the legal system, you're fine if kids are starving.
I think it's immoral, but there's no way for me to stop it, right? That's the thing, that the legal system is what allows us to be able to stop these things. So I do think it's immoral for you not to care for your kid, because I don't consider you feeding it a violation of your rights, right? But like, because I look at bodily autonomy in levels of care, and I think you giving something food is a different level of care to you giving it your blood. Right. That's why I would be against forced organ donation for your kids, but probably for making sure you feed your kids. But like, if it got into an instance of like your kid needs your blood or your kid needs your kidney, I don't think you should be forced to provide those things, because that's an extenuating form of care.
Okay. You're dying on a bunch of hills that you already have no problem dying on, which is
I
fine
don't
because I'm
think I've
all
died.
about, like, I don't.
Wait, but I
Well,
don't think
no,
I've
you were
died on any
fine with.
crazy hills.
Well, like you were fine with kids like being starved, and
No,
you
I've
were
already. I
fine
said
about,
I
like,
said I
some other
believe
guy.
that's immoral. So that would. I said multiple times. I think that's immoral.
Right, but you don't think it should be.
I don't think it should be
You
what?
don't think you should infringe upon somebody's choice not to feed kids. You felt like that
Wait, no,
should be allowed,
I
that
said we
somebody
have
should be
a
able to
legal
do that.
system that works pretty well in making sure, well, not pretty, but a legal system that's supposed to work pretty well in making sure these kids are fed, or they're given by the person who birthed them, or they have somebody else feeding them, right? And I think that's a good legal system, because I think that feeding a child is completely different than giving it your resources. I've already made that delineation.
Right,
I
no,
think
but
there are
you're,
levels
yeah,
of care.
Yeah, but we're not talking about legalities, because
Okay, but
this isn't ought to be without legalities.
wait,
So
but
this
then
is what you
I've
would
already
want.
claimed that I think that it's immoral to do so. But without legality, how do I force
Right.
somebody to do it?
Well, if you're for pro-choice and bodily autonomy, then you completely support somebody not doing it.
No, I don't. I've already said this like 4 times.
Well, just because you say you don't want it doesn't mean that actually supports your position.
Wait, if you take away legality, right? You're saying we're removing the legal aspect of the system. How can I force them to do what I think is morally correct? I can't. It's not a factor of like, do I support it? It's that I have no way to stop them from doing it. What am I going to go around in the street like looking for people and beat them up like Batman if I see them leaving their kid? No, I have no way to do it. But we have a legal system that will protect those people, because I do believe that the action of leaving your kid on the sidewalk with no form of care is neglect, and I believe that's immoral, and we have a legal system that reflects that, so I don't have to go out and be Batman and start beating up people on the street.
But this is not bodily autonomy then.
Wait, no, I've already explained that when I look at bodily autonomy, I see a delineation of care. And I think that there are certain levels of care. And there are certain levels of care that cannot be encroached and certain levels that can. That's why, again, I said that I believe if we have a legal system that forces you to feed your kids, I'm not against that. But if that same legal system came up and said, no, you have to give your kids a kidney, I would be against that, because I think that's an extenuating level of care that you shouldn't be required to give.
So so you're just special pleading to certain circumstances?
That's not a special plead. I think that there is a very clear delineation between providing care and giving your bodily resources. I think those are very different delineations. That's why when I say bodily autonomy, I never just say they can't have your body. I say they can't use your internal bodily resources without your say so. So things like your blood, your organs, your calcium, your oxygen, anything that's inside of you, if you don't give it permission, I don't think it should be able to use.
So isn't that special pleading then just to internal control of bodily autonomy and not external?
Yeah, but I've explained why I believe those things should be delineated. If you have a problem with that, then I would need you to substantiate like why my reasoning for them being extreme levels of care, why that's incorrect.
Yeah, because you're imposing on my body.
Wait, I'm sorry, say that again? Just because I'm imposing on your body?
You're imposing on my body by making me have to feed people if I don't want to feed them.
Yeah, I believe if you opt into being a parent, you have to either feed them or take them to a place, like drop them off at a fire station if you don't want to feed them.
Wait, so you have to be a parent to feed people?
Yeah, I've already said I don't think you should be forced to feed every single Tom, Dick, and Sandy on the planet.
No,
wait.
You did. You said that if we walk by the alley and there is a baby, everybody should take care of that baby.
Yeah, I said that.
Should feed that baby.
I said that because of the legal system we have right now, you might be looking at some form of neglect if you don't provide care for that child, because you would be violating its bodily autonomy to live. I said that if we sans the legal system, which is what you said to do, I still think it might be immoral not to provide them care, but there's no way to force somebody to provide them care because you've axed out the legal system. You've axed out that justice that would come in and say, well, you did this wrong, so we're going to do that. I'm not saying that you should be forced to. I'm not making that as my stance. I'm saying that I believe it would be moral to do that, but I'm not here to force my morals on people. I'm here to. Are we like? I'm just confused of why our wires are getting
because
crossed.
you're saying in the end. Well, no, because you're saying in the end you ought to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I think it might be the moral thing to do, but I'm not forcing anybody to do it. I'm not the law. I'm not forcing anybody to live their lives one way or another. That's half the point of why I'm pro-choice. I don't think you should be forced to live your life one way or another. I'm not the law. I'm not making any legal decisions about what you should be doing.
Right, and this is the hill that I was talking about. So you're fine with kids being starved. That's all.
I don't know how many times I can say I think it's immoral to do.
Right, but by your logic, it is allowed.
No, by my logic, it's not allowed. I've been very consistent. Feeding somebody is not an extreme level of care. Utilizing your bodily resources would be an extreme level of care. Yes, I said that from the beginning. I think there are extreme levels of care that bodily autonomy would stop and prevent, while there are not extreme levels of care that it wouldn't.
Sure. So if it's the last cracker on the earth and I have to feed myself or I feed the baby, is that like an extreme circumstance of like feeding somebody under
if it's the last cracker on earth, do whatever you want with the last cracker. You're both going to die anyway. There's no more food.
So I'm not obligated. Okay.
No, there's no more food. Again, what are you talking about?
But because you're like throwing out like this extreme circumstance. So like under extreme circumstances, you're still requiring me to feed the baby.
No, I just said if it's the last cracker on earth, do whatever you want with it. I'm not requiring you to feed the baby. I'm very logically consistent in this. If it's the last cracker,
we'll take it out. It's not the last cracker on earth. It's the last cracker in the house, and I have no way of getting out, and I have no finances to go and buy anything. So this is all the food that we have.
All the food you have is a cracker. And you have no money to buy any other food for your kid.
Yeah, it's really extreme.
Yeah, then do what you want with the cracker. I don't think that cracker is going to change anything.
So I don't need to feed the baby then.
If it's the last cracker you have, go nuts with it. Do whatever you want with it. I think you should go out and probably steal some food for the kid. Right? I think you should go, if you don't have money, I would go steal a loaf of bread from Walmart or something. But like, if all you
extreme. That's pretty extreme.
You wouldn't steal food if you had no money to eat and your kid was starving?
I mean, I don't know.
I'd rob the whole of Hannaford's if I had a starving kid and I couldn't afford to feed it. I would go to the ends of the earth to feed my kid. I don't care what I have to do. I would absolutely steal from Walmart to feed my kid.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that, but also I see value in the fetus just being an earlier stage of that kid, in the womb. But I don't know why it's like it's like absurd, like it's crazy to be like I would go to the ends of the earth to feed my kid, but yet if I don't want to feed the kid inside my womb, I could just kill it, and then that's all right. Like,
well, so the delineation here, the delineation here is I chose to have this kid, right? I wanted this kid. I chose to have them. If I am being forced to carry a child in my body that I don't want,
no. You don't choose a biological process. So you don't say like, hey, I am going to choose the baby that I'm making when I lay down right now.
Wait,
like, so you can't choose a biological process.
I agree. You can't choose whether or not it happens or not. But when you find out you're pregnant, that's when you can now choose whether or not you remain pregnant. Like the time where you can consent to pregnancy is when you find out you're pregnant.
Right. So when the baby's already there, sort of like the baby in the house circumstance, but when the baby's already created, but inside my womb, that is when I could choose if that baby lives or dies.
Yeah, I've already explained why. We've already gone through this. Yeah, I think you have a level of bodily. You have a level of bodily autonomy.
Right. I know. I just find it humorous again that you were like, I'd go to the end of the earth to feed my baby, but
if I want the baby, yes.
And they're still a baby. That's not a.
Well, I wouldn't call them a baby yet. A baby. It means you were born, so I wouldn't call them a baby. I would call them the other stage of human development that they're at, which is a fetus or an embryo, whichever one they're at that moment. But I wouldn't call them a baby yet.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're still a human life, right?
Sure, but
I don't call I mean, if you want to go by baby to toddler or my teenager, I'm quite sure that you would treat your teenager the same way that you would treat your baby and go to the end of the earth to feed them, right?
Yeah, but if you're asking me would I give my teenager a kidney, I don't know that answer yet because I don't have a teenager that needs a kidney. I don't know. But
no, I didn't ask that, as a matter of fact.
Well,
I'm just talking about location, how I find it interesting that outside of the womb, you're like, I go to the end of the earth to feed this baby, but the baby inside of the womb, you're like, the one that I created.
Wait.
Like,
I didn't provide a stance. I didn't provide a stance whether I would ask the person that I'm with to get an abortion, right? I didn't provide that stance. I haven't said whether I personally would want my partner to get an abortion or whether I personally would go through with abortions like in my personal life. I haven't made that claim. All I've said is that I don't believe a person should be forced to remain pregnant if they don't want to be pregnant. That's all that's my stance. If you do not want to be pregnant, you should not be forced to.
They shouldn't be forced to have this baby that they already created.
Shouldn't be forced. Yes. If they want it, though, 100%, you should have it.
To take care of this baby. Right. To take care of this baby that's already created. Sort of like the baby outside of the womb that you would go to the end of the earth to feed. The same baby is now inside of the womb that needs to be fed. And you're like, no, you could choose whether that baby is worth it or not.
I think you're strawmanning very hard here because I've made the differentials between these two things. I have stated that if
I literally stated those two things.
No, because that's not what I said. Because that's not what I said. So I stated that if you do not want the child, you should not be forced to carry it inside of you based on all of the factors A, B, C, D that we've already talked about. But if you want the child and the child is born, I would personally go to the ends of the earth to care for that child because I wanted the child. The child was born. I let the child. But if I don't want the child,
I completely presented that correct.
Wait, but if I don't want the child,
that accurate.
Wait, no, but what you're saying is, but that same child plays it. No, because it wouldn't be the same child. Because in the instance of abortion, I don't want the child, so it's not the same child. One child's wanted, one child's not wanted.
No. Right. No, it's still a child. It's just a different location, which is what I'm trying to point out to you.
Wait, I don't care about location. I care about whether it's encroaching on somebody else's rights. And it is. To remain pregnant, if you don't want to be, is a rights violation.
Right. But yet, when they're outside of the womb,
it's not a right violation.
To the end of the earth to feed them.
Because it's not a rights violation.
Right. But yet when it's inside of the womb,
it's a rights violation.
This is an option.
Because it's a rights violation.
Exist.
Because it's a rights violation. It is violating your rights if you do not want it there. If you want it there and you consent to it being there, not a rights violation. If you don't consent to it being there, it's a rights violation.
Okay, just to clarify that. So if I went in and was trying to get pregnant with my husband and we wanted to have a baby, we got pregnant, and then I decided I didn't, like that's okay?
Yes, because consent has to be revocable. So you can revoke consent at any point.
Okay. So like when you're a parent as well?
Yes, that's why you can give your child up for adoption. That's why you can take your child to...
I don't want to have to do any of that.
Wait, you have legal obligations. I don't know why we keep going to this.
Oh my God.
I don't know why we keep going to this.
You keep bringing up legalities.
Wait. If there is no legality, then I don't know how you would expect me to say you have to do something.
We haven't even gotten to the point of creating legality yet. We're talking about what ought to be.
Yes,
very simple.
I've already stated.
So how are you putting the horse before the carriage?
I'm not. I've already stated. I think what you ought to do should be to care for it or get it other care, but there is no way for me to force that on you, if not for a legal system.
Exactly. That's your hit. No. Your hill is, without the legal system, that I could just let a kid do whatever they want.
What did I just say? What did I just say?
Fade away or whatever.
What did I just say? I said you ought to get it care, but I can't force you to get it care.
Right. So I don't want to get it care, and you're fine with that.
If there's no legal system and I don't want to care for my kid, what would you say to me?
Well, that's not right because that baby is.
How are you going to stop me? How are you going to stop me, though? How are you going to stop me, though?
Put the baby in the state of dependency.
How are you going to stop me?
I can't.
Okay, you have the same stance that I do. You think it's wrong, but you can't stop me because there's no legal system.
But my position is not bodily autonomy. That's your position.
Oh my God. It's so wild. We have the exact same moral principle in this matter.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
Because no, we're not. Because I actually believe if you put somebody in a state of dependency, that you should actually follow through with that.
Why?
Because you'll put them in a state of dependency.
That's just repeating the thing. You have to. Why? Because I put it in a state of dependency. Do I have to care for it? Without saying state of dependency again.
Because you made it rely on you?
That you're just restating that it's in a state of dependency. Why are we morally obligated to care for things in a why? Wait, because I'm not making a claim whether we are or are not. I'm trying to find out your reasoning. If your reasoning is it's in a state of dependency, so you have to care for it because it's in a state of dependency, that's a circular argument. You're just saying it is because it is because it is, right? If I look at states of dependency, right? First of all, I don't even believe that becoming pregnant is a state of dependency. I don't believe you're placing it in a state of dependency. I think that's
wait. I'm still trying to figure out the circular part that you're talking about.
I asked you why
you have to create a state of I'm not saying that you create a state of dependency, therefore you have to obligate this state of dependency. That's not what I'm saying.
Wait, I asked I said, why, if I create a state of dependency, do I have to care for that thing? You said, because you created a state of dependency. Those were your exact words. So I'm asking, why do I have to care for something that I made dependent on me?
Because it's a human right.
What right?
It's a human right.
What right specifically?
It's a negative right.
No, negative rights would mean I don't have to do anything. A negative right would mean I have to.
Positive right. You're correct. A positive right. My apologies. I got it wrong.
How did
positive right. You created a positive right.
What positive right?
Human being.
What
to depend on
you. Depending on someone is not a right. You don't have the right to depend on somebody. That's not a right. That wouldn't even be an innate human right.
Is that you are not able to exert your independence. You need assistance.
No, so positive and negative rights are applied to already existing rights. So the right to life, for example, or the right to, what do you think are inherent human rights? Like, can you list me some rights that you think are inherently human rights?
I know them, but I don't know them offhand.
So I would say dependency isn't on the list. If I'm listing out human rights, I wouldn't put dependency anywhere near the list.
Rights. No, that's correct. That's not on human rights. That's right. I know that. But in the positive and negative right is what?
We only apply positive and negative rights to already existing rights. Positive and negatives aren't their own. We now have a right that's called a positive right and a right that's called a negative right. It's just that the right is the right, positive or negative.
So the existing human rights when this life is created.
I don't change whether a right is positive or negative based on when in the development of people it is. It would always be one way or another. So for instance, the right to life is always a negative right. The way you respect the right to life is you do nothing. So I don't harm you and I don't kill you. That respects your right to life. Me not killing you respects that. A right to, if you believe we have a right to health care, that would be a positive right because you're saying that somebody has to provide this service for you. So now it's positive.
Yes. Wait, so like the body of the mother with the fetus? I'm not understanding.
Yeah, you're right.
How is that not positive right?
Well, the right to bodily autonomy would be a negative right. The only way somebody has to respect your bodily autonomy is they don't encroach upon your bodily autonomy. But a fetus would be encroaching upon your bodily autonomy because it would be utilizing your bodily resources. And if you don't consent to that, that's now it violating a negative right.
So you're saying just any type of like encroaching upon my rights. It doesn't have to be like fatal. It could just be like in my vicinity, like breathing my air, like standing too close to me and sucking the same oxygen that I want. Is that somebody like
no? Because that's not that's not. It wouldn't even come close to your bodily autonomy. You don't have a right to all of the air in the world. So just because someone's breathing the same air. But on the flip side, if somebody's, for instance, punching you in the face over and over and over again, and everything else you do to get them to stop punching you doesn't work, and you got a pew pew, as a supporter of the 2A, use the pew pew.
Yeah.
If everything else you try doesn't work.
Yeah, so how is that physically infringing as much like you're claiming what the fetus is doing upon the mother?
No, so I think you've missed what I had said earlier in the conversation. The only way to end the rights violation prior to 24 weeks is unfortunately a lethal method. That's it. There's no other way to do it. And I've already stated, if we came up with some scientific way to end the rights violation without killing the fetus, I would take that, right? Because that's the way we could do it. But right now, there is no other way to end that rights violation. It's impossible prior to 24 weeks. If your rights are being violated, the only way to end it would be having a lethal abortion. After that,
right. And
there are non-lethal methods.
So what rights are being violated with the fetus in the womb?
If you are pregnant and you do not consent to being pregnant, your bodily autonomy is being violated.
How did the baby get there?
I don't care how it got there. Just like I wouldn't care if I invited.
You don't care how it got there?
Yeah, just like I wouldn't care if I invited somebody into my house and then wanted them to leave my house. Right? I don't care that I invited you in. If I tell you to leave, you still have to leave.
Right. And then if they don't leave,
I kick them out whatever way I can.
No, you can't kick them out. The only way to get them out is to kill them.
If I have tried every other method of getting them out, if I have tried to push them out the door, if I've called the cops and the cops are like, we're not helping you, we're not doing anything for you. If I have gone through every other method and the only thing I can do is use a pew-pew, I'm using a pew-pew.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. If you take away all other options. So they could just
be like sitting on the chair, not doing sitting in your recliner with your remote in the hand, like not doing anything.
Wait,
and
did I?
Like, I told you to get out like 3 times.
Nope, that's not what I said.
Your fat ass off of this recliner.
Nope, that's not what I said.
Go ahead and pew-pew you.
That's not what I said.
What is it?
I said if
you literally said you did everything.
Yes, just telling them. Telling them
and
3 times. Telling them 3 times and giving them a little push isn't doing everything. Yeah. That's literally not doing everything.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You did everything.
If I've done everything else,
staple,
then I'm sorry. What do you expect? Are you just going to let someone sit in your house for the rest of their life because nothing else is working to get them out?
If I ask them to come in here, if I ask them to come into my house, sit down on the recliner, enjoy a movie, and then they don't want to listen and do what I tell them afterwards, and then I could just pew-pew them.
Sure. If you let me in your house and I start eating all your food. If I start breaking your legs, if I start forcing you if I start doing
are they breaking legs? Really? We're not talking about that's hilarious.
What?
That's hilarious.
Wait,
breaking legs.
Yeah, people's bones break when they're pregnant. It happens all the time because the fetus takes their calcium.
Sure. What's the statistic on that? Yeah, so how often is that?
How often? I don't know how often, but it is a side effect of pregnancy is that your bones can break.
Literally break out from underneath
your bones can break when you are pregnant because the calcium the fetus is taking.
Does that happen?
It's more likely that your teeth are going to fall out, but what type of statistic do you want?
Yeah,
you want a percentage?
Because you don't brush your teeth after you puke.
No, it's also because of the calcium being removed from your body.
Also, right, but not enough that it will actually fall out.
Okay, the person that's staying with you is also forcing you to throw up every day.
Yeah.
So if all of these things are happening, it's not just sitting on your chair. It's not just doing that.
I invited them into the house. It sounds like a lot of negative things. Wait, you're saying a lot of bad things that happens with this guest. That's a little
correct.
Weird.
So you can't kick them out?
Why did I invite them in the first place? Why did I invite them in the first place?
Wait, so now you're saying you can't kick them out just because you invited them in?
Why did I invite them in the first place?
Who knows? I don't think consent to sex is consent to pregnancy. So I don't know what
said that.
Well, that's the argument you're making right now.
No. You're basically like have the door open and you're screaming the dude by its name.
You can't
and
consent
you're saying, Come on in.
Wait, you can't. You can't consent to a possibility.
Are you not letting me finish? Yes, you can.
No, that's not what consent is. Consent can literally. Consent is between 2 people, 2 sentient people. There is no fetus at the time of sex, so you're not consenting to anything with a fetus. That's just not what consent is.
You're consenting to the possibility of creating a fetus.
I think you can acknowledge a risk, sure, But why does that now mean you can't?
What a possibility is.
Sure, but why does that now mean you can't remove the fetus just because you acknowledge that there might be a risk, a 5% risk, by the way, of this thing happening? Why can you not?
Yeah, because you invited them in.
Do you think that you consent to be pregnant?
You consent to the possibility.
Great. Can consent be revoked at any time?
Risk.
Can consent be revoked? No, consent can't be revoked at any time. Then it's not consent. One of the
biological process.
I didn't ask if it was a biological process. I didn't ask if it.
To a biological process.
You state.
Is it not a biological process?
Wait. I asked you if you consent to it. You said you consent to the possibility. Can I revoke that consent? Then if I can't, then it's not consent.
Roseanne Barr.
You physically, if you can't revoke it, then it's not consent. That's specifically what consent has to be revocable. Otherwise, it is not consent.
Then it's not consent.
Great. So if I didn't consent to something, why should I be forced to do it?
Because you consented to lay down and open the door and call Johnny's name in.
I didn't call Johnny's name. Johnny just showed up.
Yes, you did.
I left the door open and Johnny just walked in. I sure didn't.
No,
I sure didn't.
No. You called and let him. You said, Johnny, come in. Now, you didn't go and pull Johnny in. You just screamed at Johnny and told him.
No, calling Johnny in would be if I specifically had sex for the purpose of getting pregnant, but I didn't. Like, what if I'm using contraception? Then the door's not open. There's a screen door. Johnny just walks through the screen door. He doesn't care.
Sure, it's a possibility.
Yeah, so I didn't call him in. I'm using contraception. I didn't call Johnny anywhere. Johnny just came in, and 51% of all abortions happen due to failed contraception. So 51% of all abortions, Johnny's just walking in the house. You're not inviting Johnny in at all.
Right, because you're laying. Yes, you open the door.
Yeah, so just because I open the door, that means I can't kick him out.
It's a screen door. It's screen door.
So if you leave your screen door open, I'm good to just walk in.
Yeah.
So that's the hill you're willing to die on? Is that people can just walk into people's screen doors?
Sure, yeah. If I leave the door open or a screen door open, like if I do like a screen door and I don't like do a door.
So if you leave your door open and someone comes in and takes your stuff, you're not going to call the cops to get your stuff back, right? You're going to say,
it's not consenting to them coming in the door. It's actually, they came in the door.
Wait, but
saying.
Wait. You said that you acknowledge the risk. So you acknowledge the risk that your stuff can get taken. So now you can't do anything about it because they took your stuff. Because you acknowledge the risk. Are you saying that you have methods to try to get your stuff back? Because even though you acknowledge the risk, it doesn't mean you should have to you shouldn't be able to deal with whatever happens after said risk.
One more time.
So when we're analogizing property rights to sex, we're saying that because you had sex, you knew the risk. So if something happens like a pregnancy, you should not be able to remove the pregnancy because you acknowledge the risk. So if you leave your door open and someone walks in and is stealing your TV and you walk in on them stealing your TV, you have to just let them steal it because you acknowledge the risk and you left the door open. You can't stop them from stealing it. You left that door open. So now they are able to take the TV. You can't do anything to stop them because you acknowledge the risk by leaving your door open.
I mean, it's a risk, yeah.
So you're not going to try to stop them stealing
taking my TV.
You're not going to do nothing because me personally, I'm going to stop them from stealing my TV if I catch them in the act. But I'm just making sure your stance is if my door is open, I can't stop you from stealing my stuff.
So let me try. Yeah, because I already answered that. So if you go to like a gambling casino or whatever, and you sit down at the table and you're gambled out, you put down $10,000, and you're like all on black 7 or whatever, and it comes back and it was red 2. Can you then be like, give me my money back?
No, because I opted into a
consensual
legal contract by sitting at the table.
Yes. So how is that capable to the same thing when you lay down?
You're not
willingly?
opting into a legal contract by having sex.
A legal wait. When I sit down at a blackjack table, I don't like
Yes,
legally
yes,
sign any
yes,
papers.
yes. When you sit down at a blackjack table, if you start gambling legally, you have to follow the rules of that casino legally. Now, if you're saying there's no wait, hold on, let me finish. Yes, first of all, these are laws in gambling states. Yes, if you sit at the table and you start playing, that's it. You are legally obligated to pay the casino whatever you lose. Now, if we're saying if we're removing legality, then the casino just has to stop you whenever they want. If they can't stop you, then no. Why would you have to pay? They can't stop you. Walk away.
So the same thing, because then I could just appeal to legality then when you're talking about Johnny taking my TV, because by the castle doctrine, that means unless he's like violating or threatening my life, that means I have to let him take the TV, right? Because that's like the castle doctrine.
Wait, but we're in the house thing, we're not talking about legality. Wait. Why you keep doing
that when I'm talking about a casino?
I don't understand why you keep doing this, because you're making a delineation of a casino. Now, if you're saying this is a casino where we don't also exist in a land with law, then no, walk away if you want to walk away. Then it's up to them to do whatever they want to do.
With a television and a property right.
I know. I asked you specifically, if you see them stealing your TV, would you stop them based on your stance of you let them in, you let them in? I didn't ask you if they're stealing your TV, are you going to...
Right, but according to laws, are they threatening to kill me with that television? Because then I can unalive them. But if they're not, then they take the television according to the castle.
I didn't even wait. So first of all, it's just blowing my mind that we keep like going in circles on this, because I'm being very clear about this. When it comes to a casino, if there are no laws in place, do whatever you want. The only consequences you'll face is what the other person's gonna do to you. I have no. If you're playing blackjack with somebody and you say, never mind, I changed my mind, I'm not paying you this, and you leave, whatever happens is whatever happens. There's no law to stop you from doing that. It's just what the other person does. If we're talking about a system where there are rules in place, then by sitting down at that blackjack table, you opt into a legal contract with the casino that you now are required to do A, B, and C with your money. But that doesn't mean the casino could require you to do stuff with your body, right? Now, if we're talking about the home, if we exist in a system with laws, I didn't ask you if you'd call the cops or if you'd prosecute the person that stole your TV. I said if they came into your house and you saw them stealing your TV, would you stop them or let them do it?
Well, according to the castle doctrine, unless my life is being threatened, then I can't do that. I can't unalive them.
Okay, so you're being very disingenuous right now.
Because you
I'm not.
literally appealed to legality like 50 million times during this argument.
I haven't appealed to legality. I've made the delineation.
You bring
I
up
have
casino
made.
laws,
You brought up a
and
casino.
I'm bringing up the castle doctrine.
Wait, you brought up a casino, and I answered. I answered you. This is what I would think in a universe.
Doctrine, according to your television analogy, I brought up the castle doctrine. There you go.
I answered you with a casino in an instance where there are no laws and an instance where there are laws. So I'm not appealing to legality because I'm giving you an answer for both situations. You just keep saying the castle doctrine. No, I said that at the beginning.
Yeah, no.
Yes, I did. We can play back the tape. I literally said you're legally obligated to pay the casino because you sat down. But if there are no laws, do whatever the hell you want. That's what I've said multiple times.
You literally say you entered into a contract. First thing that came out of your mouth was a contract.
And then I continued because multiple things came out of my mouth. I said multiple things. And the last thing I said was, if there are no laws, do whatever you want. The only thing that can happen is the casino will do whatever they want back to you.
Sure. And
so I didn't just say one thing.
I'm adding more to the door, to the TV thing. That legally castle doctrine, means that I can't unalive them unless my life's being threatened.
Wait, do you think that you are morally obligated to let them steal your TV?
Yeah. No.
Why not?
Because it's my property.
Are people's bodies their property?
Yes.
So then why am I legally obligated to maintain a pregnancy?
Because
why am I morally obligated? Why am I morally obligated?
Because it's another body.
Doesn't matter. Is it my property?
Body right. Human rights.
Is this my property? Like wait, I'm not talking about the other body. I'm saying is my body my property? Yes or no?
No, your body does not have 4 eyes.
That's not what I'm asking. It's like every time I get you in a corner, you try to pivot away into something else. That's not what I'm asking.
No, you're right. You have it's your bodily autonomy over 2 eyes, over 2 hands, over 2 feet. That's correct.
Yeah, so that's, again, it's not what I'm asking. You've made the argument that if you leave the door open, it's on you what happens. So because you left the door open and someone takes your TV, are you morally obligated to let them? You said no. Even though you've also made the claim that because you left the door open, you have to accept whatever happens at that point.
I mean, you also let the guy in and then killed him because he wouldn't leave when you told him to leave. But yeah, okay.
No, don't try to twist my words. It's not just because I told him to leave, and you know that. You said that everything else I tried under the sun.
Did everything
exactly.
You do. Yes.
Exactly. If someone's punching you in the face and you do everything you can do to stop them punching you, but they keep punching you, what should I do?
In the face. He was literally sitting on your recliner.
Yeah. Do we have property rights? Do I have the right to tell someone they can't be in my house? Yes or no?
Not when you ask them to come in.
Wait, so I can never tell someone to leave?
Oh my gosh. No, you could tell them to leave. You just can't unalive them.
Right. And if they won't leave, what can I do?
Feed them.
They won't leave my house, so now I have to feed them.
Yep.
Why?
Because you invited them in and you need them to
Did you tell them to leave? Did you tell? You're being so disingenuous and everybody sees it. That's the worst part right here. I'm so willing to have a genuinely good faith conversation here. I've been willing since the beginning.
I don't care what anybody sees.
I've been willing since the start here. I've been willing since the start here to have a very good faith conversation with you. And you're being so disingenuous right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just pressing back at your thing.
Why?
I don't know why that's disingenuous.
I don't understand what's the point of wanting a debate if you're not pressing back.
Wait,
I asked you. Wait, that's not pressing back. I asked you if somebody won't leave your house, what can you do? And you said feed them. You know damn well if you said, hey, Javon, come into my house and let's hang out. And then for some reason you're like, no, never mind. I don't want you here. The last thing you would do is feed them food. You don't want them in your house anymore. You don't get to stay in someone.
You stated that you should do that. I thought what
are you talking about?
Walk past somebody, right?
They're not in your house.
Like there was a guy.
What? They're not in your house. What are you talking about?
Right.
You're so disingenuous.
That's what's weirder because
this is nuts to me.
To help the handicap guy.
You don't think people should help handicap people?
You want that? No.
You don't think people should help handicap people? That's wild.
You don't want to
I think we should help handicap people.
Into your house.
If you don't think you should help handicap people, that's crazy.
Invited in your house.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, because I asked them to leave. I don't have to give them my food after I've asked them to leave.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I'm sorry. Do you don't think that you can tell people they can when or not to leave your house? Just confirming. If someone enters your house, they can now stay for as long as they want, and you saying please leave doesn't mean anything.
If I put them there like they're required, like they need me, then yeah.
Who said anything about they need you? I'm just asking, are they forced to stay in your house? Yes or no?
If they need me, yes.
What does that even mean? It's like you pivot to 16 things.
Like they need my food.
I don't care if they need your food. Who cares? Did you ask that? Did you ask them to leave? Yes or no?
Why am I supposed to care about the wheelchair guy on the railroad then?
Listen, if you don't want to care about wheelchair people on rail tracks, don't. I'm not forcing you to.
Right, and you don't want to care about feeding somebody who needs your food.
I don't want to care about respecting something that's violating another person's human rights. That's what I don't want to care about.
That needs your food.
Yeah, if it's violating your human rights, I don't care if it needs your food or not. It's violating your human rights. If you are for human rights violations, just say that.
I mean, that's on you. That's
No, it's not on me. I never proposed to violate anybody's human rights. You have. I never have.
No, you
not
have.
once. No, not once have
it's
I.
called the baby.
Not once have
I. That's inside of her body.
Utilizing it without her consent, that's a violation of human rights. Utilizing it without her consent is a violation of her human rights.
How does the baby ask for consent? Hey, mom, can you give me food today? How does the baby ask for that?
What is a baby? What are you talking about? If you are pregnant and don't want to be, the thing inside of you is violating your human rights.
Right. So how is she choosing? How is the baby choosing to violate your rights?
You don't have to consciously violate someone's human rights to violate someone's human rights. There are some, do you realize you realize you can be an aggressor without actively without actively aggressing. You can still be an aggressor. Sure. So I might buy an iPhone, right? iPhones are produced using child and slave labor, right? So even though I'm not actively the one forcing these children to be slaves, I'm still perpetuating a system that aggresses upon them. I'm still an aggressor. That's how that works.
Wow, that's funny. That's funny.
Jesus Christ. Like this is first grade stuff. I really don't understand how you don't get it.
I mean, it is first grade stuff that it is a different body inside of her body.
If it's a different body, sure, it's a different body. Sure, it's completely separate, different body. How can I take my fetus to Disneyland if I don't want my wife to come?
Well, evidently, when you go to jail, the baby's in jail.
Nope, that's not what I asked. You said it's a completely separate body. Wait, nope, stop. You said it's a separate body. You said it's a separate body. How do I take my baby to Disneyland and leave my wife at home if she's pregnant? You said it's a different body.
Do you think this is not a separate body?
You said, no, I don't think it's separate at all. It's very clearly attached to something else. That's not separate. If you're attached to something, you're not separate from them.
Sure. Wait, really?
Correct.
You can't be attached to something to be separate? So
I don't think you're separate if you're attached.
Those leashes on her kids, then she's like attached to this kid?
Correct.
Can she just unalive this kid then? If the baby, like if the kid in Disneyland has
that's your go-to.
Like they could just
is now that she's
baby?
Attached, they can unalive the baby. That's your go-to. Have I ever said I'm for unaliving fetuses?
Well, just tell me yes or no.
Wait, have I ever once said I'm for unaliving fetuses?
Is that yes or no?
Have I ever said one time? Have I ever said I'm not going to answer ridiculous questions? You know it's ridiculous.
Why?
Have I ever said one time in this whole conversation that my goal is to unalive or I'm for the killing of fetuses? Have I ever said that?
You literally did at the beginning.
Nope,
when you
sure
said
didn't.
Under 24 weeks, the only way is lethal injection.
Oh, wait,
So
what was that? What was that? I'm sorry. You said it's the only way? Right. So it's not that I want to unalive them, but it's the only way. Great. So it's the only way. Great. Just like if I was hungry and the only thing in front of me was a potato, it's not, I'm for eating potatoes. It's the only thing in front of me. So it's the only thing I can eat. Great. So you do understand that my goal is not to unalive fetuses. My goal is so that if somebody doesn't want to be pregnant, they can end the pregnancy. Now, unfortunately, prior to 24 weeks, there's only one way to do that. But I've already stated multiple times, and it's like it goes in one ear and out the other, because I swear to God, you just don't understand. Nope. It's gone in one ear and out the other, that if there were other options, I would go for those other options. But it's you only hear what you want to hear.
Unalive that separate body. I got it.
Yeah, listen, you just don't understand. You don't understand anything. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And now you're floundering. You're totally floundering because you have nothing. You have no way to contribute to this conversation. So you're floundering.
There's nothing else to say. I mean, I already heard what I needed to hear.
Great. I'm glad you did. You also told me that you would let people steal from you if they walked into your house. Go nuts with it. I don't care. Like, what?
I'm not going to kill them. Yeah, I'm not going to kill them to steal something.
I didn't tell you to kill them. I said, would you stop them from stealing from you? You said no.
You said that you would
not what I said.
Pew pew and you would kill them.
If there were no other ways to get them out my house. Open your ears. I know the wax buildup is insane right now.
Just for taking
I know they usually say don't use a Q-tip, but I would recommend using a Q-tip. The wax buildup is insane right now.
I understand.
What did I say? I said, if there is no other way to remove the rights violation, I'm all for other ways. If you know another way to end a pregnancy without killing a fetus prior to 24 weeks, I'd love to hear it. Tell me what it is right now. Would love to hear it. Go ahead.
They shouldn't unalive it?
That's not what I said. Do you know another way to end a pregnancy without killing a fetus prior to
Sure.
24 weeks?
Not unalive it?
It's not what I asked.
Wait until it's birth?
So wait. So to
Very
end a rights violation, you should just wait. So someone's being SA'd. They should just wait for it to end. It is a rights violation. It is a rights violation.
The baby has rights. The baby has human rights.
Yeah, but wait, but you've not been able to substantiate why the baby's human rights should violate the human rights of the mother. You haven't been able to answer that.
Because it's a human.
Doesn't mean that's not an answer. That's not an answer because it's human. So I'm a human, so I can violate your rights because I'm a human.
Not if you're infringing. If you're
nope. You said you just said. I asked you why can the baby violate the mother's human rights? You said because it's human. That's the only delineation you gave. So because I'm human, I can violate your human rights. So now there's more things to it. So now there's more things to it. So answer the question fully. Answer the question fully. Why can a fetus violate a pregnant person's rights? Answer the full question.
It has rights.
I have rights. You have rights. Can I violate your human rights?
The baby has rights.
So do I, and so do you. Can I violate your human rights? Yes or no? I meet all the criteria you just said. I meet all the criteria you just said. I have rights and you have rights, and I'm a human.
No. If you're threatening my life, no.
Well, who said anything about threatening your life? I'm just violating your rights. I'm not going to kill you. I'm just violating your rights.
How are you threatening? So how are you violating my rights?
I'm taking your things. You have property rights, right? I'm taking your property. It's my property now.
Can I kill you because of that?
I'm arguing based on your logic, so apparently not. So I just get to take your stuff. I asked you very specifically.
Yes, you can't take my stuff.
Hold on. I asked you very specifically.
Yes.
Okay, so great. So I can violate your rights whenever I want to. Fantastic. That's the hill you're willing to die on. Is that I can violate your rights.
You could take my property and I can't kill you. That's correct.
I didn't just ask about killing. I said, can I violate your rights?
That's a crazy.
That's not what I said.
Crazy hill to die on.
You're dying on the. You know what? I can't.